Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Mufc Realist TV. Of course, this is Mick Ruby with the hot deals takeaway after today's video with Alfredo Pedullà. Of course, we're going to talk about a lot of things. Guys, get involved with your Q&A. Man United hot deals. We're going to talk about Ederson, of course. Cunha is a done deal. We're going to talk about the goalkeeping situation, what Alfredo Pedullà was discussing. Vanja Milinković-Savić, Carnesecchi. Is it a hot deal also? And the latest about Gyokeres update, and also what he told about Jadon Sancho to Juventus. Is that heating up? Goalkeeper Watch, Marco Carnesecchi, Vanja Milinković-Savić, Diogo Costa, and of course, Emi Martínez. But it looks like Emi Martínez is also now being pimped out to Chelsea. So yeah, we will see. But the big bomb is also what we're going to talk about. Ederson to Atalanta, Viktor Gyökeres, massive update. You know, United is still pushing behind the scenes, but the president is being adamant and being really a dickhead, in my opinion, asking for price that he's never going to get. Guys, this is me, Mick Ruby, Mufc Realist TV, and we're going to do the Q&A regarding Alfredo Pedullà. Do me a massive favor, because Mark is also coming in to have his say, but this show is all about you. Get your questions in and like and subscribe. Right, without any further ado, let's send this transfer bullet. Send it.
And Garnacho!
Has the Premier League ever been more challenging?
Will you be in the dugouts at Old Trafford on Sunday? I will be here. Definitely. I know.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, let's go, people. Welcome to the show. It's Sunday after all, and hopefully you watched that Alfredo Pedullà interview earlier. That was the second episode in our coming every Sunday updates regarding the Manchester United transfer news. And of course, Alfredo Pedullà is a reputed journalist down in Italy. He's been quoted by many social media accounts. And of course, he's here on exclusive of Mufc Realist TV. So you won't see Alfredo anywhere else other than on this channel. But of course, we're going to talk about what everyone wants to get off the chest. Bryan Mbeumo, okay? Bryan Mbeumo, what's going on with that? Nothing to worry about. You know, there was some shitstorm coming out and conflicted reports. The bid was kind of, in my opinion, never rejected. And Fabrizio Romano came and said it was never rejected. It's pretty much Brentford asking more on the base price rather than paying more in installments. Now, I was kind of saying that, but I got a lot of stick on Twitter to say, look, it's been rejected. Look, Ornstein said it's rejected. But the tweet never said rejected. But if you read the Athletic article, it says rejected. So that's kind of the media spin, in my opinion. Like what's going on at the moment, Manchester United are negotiated. The talks are still ongoing. It is pretty much, you know, United was willing to pay 55, but Brentford wants more money instead of the add-ons. So this is what nobody really knows, but I believe that the price is going to end up around 63 million, what I've been told. But will it be more installments? I mean, more installments in favor of Manchester United? Will it be more payment upfront? Because if you're a selling club, you want to make sure that the guaranteed money is what you get, because the installment can be ridiculous installments. I mean, the add-ons can be ridiculous add-ons, in my opinion. It could be like, you know, hey, Bryan Mbeumo to date Margot Robbie. What's the chance of that? Yeah, Bryan Mbeumo to score 300 goals. What's the chance of that? So the sort of add-ons is kind of a little bit of a fantasy figure. So of course, as a selling club, you kind of look at, you know, I want as much as more I can get, like on you know, guaranteed money. So that is what's going on at the moment. But there is some reports coming out that they are kind of settling things. They are kind of ironing out things. And I believe, and what I've been told, that this deal will be announced and ready as after next week, which is coming soon, 1st of June. Oh, sorry, 1st of July. So what I keep mixing up June and July for some reason. But, you know, that is the start of new PSR financial year. So you'll see a lot of movements happening in that instance. And as well, like, you know, Marcus Rashford, we spoke about that, to be or not to be. Marcus Rashford is playing a Russian roulette gambling, as what Alfredo was saying in that video. You know, he set his eyes on price. He only wants Barcelona, rejecting every single club. But Barcelona is stringing him along because Barcelona is trying to sort of get Nico Williams off the line. Anything could happen, but I think that will be the one to watch at the end of the window, because I believe that Barcelona will come with a scandalous bid at the end of the transfer window to say, we take him on the loan, we give him a little bit loan fee, and that's about it. So the key takeaway here, it's the outs 100% and the ins, what we're going to talk about and dissect. But before I go, I want to give you a massive shout out whoever is tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We do have Temisken Tiramisu. Sorry, I keep saying tiramisu, but Mr. Deliso. Yeah, yes, I like Ederson, Rios, Emi Martínez, Gyokeres, Mbeumo to United is better for next season, please. And we all know. But the stumbling block here is the mistake of the past regime. Like, we are stuck with these players that is very hard to get rid of. Sancho, the freedom fighter, Rashford, that only wants Barcelona, is not open for other clubs. These two have wage demands that no other continental club can afford to pay. So it's either like, swallow your pride, accept a lower salary and move on, and that is a massive headache because rumored Amarin's coming back from his vacation, according to the reports, to work, and he wants to understand what is going on. Did I get some players out? No, not as of yet. Real Betis is still haggling with Manchester United, pretending they're a poor club, while they actually sold a couple of players that do have money in the bank to go and get Anthony Dos Santos. So either of those deals will actually trigger either Gyokeres deal or either Ederson a midfielder deal, in my opinion. Robert, what are you saying here? I'm always say this Man United has no hope. How they waste 1 month on Mbeumo deal to be completed. Has it really been a 1 month on Mbeumo? I mean, yes, if we can sort of add a little bit meat to the bone, I kind of understand what you're saying. But this is Manchester United of the new regime. This is not Manchester United being taken to the cleaner. We are kind of due diligence to say we're not going to overpay in the market. We're not going to be rinsed. And I applaud that in a way. We can negotiate with blue in the face, but as long as the player comes in and, hold the shirt and be part of the preseason. So who cares, if we're haggling and negotiating to the deal's been completed. At the end of the day, we're just fans, and I understand the frustration, but we are not responsible. We are not the ones that, doing the deals or have the financials in certain say. Well, Liverpool is a different club I agree. By signing players, this commercial club, Man United, is busy wasting time on Mbeumo. Well, Robert, again, Liverpool, the constellation where they've been in has been far too long. They are 10 years ahead of Man United in terms of having a footballing operation. So I do understand what you're saying here, Robert, but in a way, this is kind of the first year of the new regime under the footballing operation. Omar Barada, Jason Wilcox, negotiating together with with what's his name, Hardgreaves as well. So yeah, this is I know, and I know what you're saying. Some fans wants the deal happening right now, but in transfer market, there's so many things that moves behind the scenes, so it's almost impossible, right? It's not always easy to meet the demands what the selling club wants, because at the end of the day, Brentford don't really need to sell Mbeumo. They don't, right? So they're holding on to that. We don't really want to sell him. So how much do you want? Nobody else in for him, only Manchester United. So there's no really bidding war. It's pretty much a negotiation attrition until they meet in the middle and everyone is happy, yeah? Because nobody wants to walk away from that negotiation table feeling mugged or robbed or anything. So it's equal part for equal parts, like for likes. I do understand that, that Liverpool signed 5, yeah. But, Robert, at the end of the day, Liverpool didn't sign anyone last summer, So this summer they are spending all the cash. They won, the Premier League. They got Champions League football. They didn't spend anything, and they want to pretty much back Arne Slot, because Arne Slot was never really back, did he? So therefore they're going on a madness. I know 5 players. I know. At the end of the day, I know what you're trying to say. But the one to watch for is definitely this one. I believe that this one is heating up quite quickly and nicely. I know at the end of the day, I think that he will become 100% a Man United player. I know a lot of fans on Twitter and social media were saying, just walk away. And I was like, well, hang on a second, use a little bit of common sense, logic and reasoning. Why would you walk away from your number 1 target? If this is the target that Ruben Amorim have defined as transformative for his 2 number 10s, talking about Cunha, and talking about Mbeumo. We know Cunha is a done deal, but adding those 2, and who else would you walk away from and replace? It doesn't really make sense. So I said big up for the negotiation string, trying to sort of get to as close as possible, 60, 63 million. That's a good deal. I mean, remember, we got to, Cunha for 63. So I think that this will be equal deal. And on the other hand, we're doing the deals on amortization, so it won't be that much money that we are spending. And And also food for thought, like, as a fan community, since when, as fans, do we actually care about how much money do we spend? I mean, it used to be, as a fan, if I remember, it used to be that we only care, just get me that player. We don't really care how much you pay, just get me that Mbeumo, get me that Cunha, get me that Gyokeres. Since when are we the KPI holders, like key performance or finance holders or negotiators? So at the end of the day, for me, I don't really care how much money we spend, as long as we get the right players for Ruben Amorim's system, and happy days, if you know what I mean. David, what you're saying here, I think this team would be benefit from a year in the championship. You think so? Let me just respond back to you. You mean relegated? I think this team will benefit a lot for not being in Europe, definitely, since this is a rebuild. That means that Ruben Amorim gets more time to sort of, work with this team. We're playing only in the Premier League and domestic cup, so how far will we go in the Carabao Cup, FA Cup? And there's only those two players. Well, others are playing Champions League. Others are playing now World Club competition. They're going to come home knackered. So it's beneficial for Man United in a start of a season. If you don't spend money today, that's what you deserve. Well, yes, I agree what you're saying there, Dave, in a way. But however, the window is still young. The window is still open, right? Just remember that the transfer window was only open 1 week and then was shut for 10 days, right? Because of the Club World competition. So we haven't really done much. Like, during this break, we've just been focusing on negotiating this Mbeumo deal, and I think it's over the line. I think as of this week, we will have a here we go. So, and then we move on to the next target, and then we have to sell a lot of players. So we're going to talk about the outs as well, in my opinion, as well. So yeah, I do hit what you're saying, that, but you know what? It's too early to judge, and we still have to late August, right, until the window is shut down, closed. So I know that Manchester United have the targets. They're going to go for the midfield targets after they complete the striker position. They're going to go for the midfield. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk exclusive regarding, this guy, this gentleman, what everyone is talking about, what is going on. We're also going to talk about this one is potentially now being linked to Liverpool. And this one, it's not so hot anymore. But the one that is hot is absolutely this. This is what everyone wants. But it's been reports, even I said that Gyokeres, it will be pretty much a late July, August deal, right? And why is it so? Well, at the end of the day, if we're going to speak about that one, Arsenal is now pivoting more towards, Benjamin Sesko, and it's always been the case. They just lined up Gyokeres as, plan B, right? But now we've seen they're going deep in the negotiations, personal terms is agreed. They managed to use the Gyokeres story to pressure RB Leipzig. They are a little bit in a financial situation to lower down the asking price, and Sesko has agreed to the project. He wants to join. So for me, that screams all the way that Gyokeres will become a Manchester United player at the end of the day, because the options are out. There is no other options. Hence why you're seeing the sporting director today coming out with additionally crybaby comments that he will not again be held for ransom. It's ridiculous, right? I'm going to find that tweet as well. I saw it somewhere. Yes, here it is. Let's put that to the stage, people, while we are speaking. So this came out today. So let me just zoom this in. I quite find it ironically, because if you read between the lines, he's saying that, I'm going to pull up the whole tweet. Sporting does not need to sell Viktor Gyökeres, which is absolutely bullshit. That's what the president is saying. Fortunately, we have passed this stage of selling our most important asset, but we still respect the dreams of Viktor or any other player. So another play for the gallery by the president. He's saying basically, we don't really need to sell him, but hang on a second, the player is forcing the move. So what's it going to be? You cannot keep a player that doesn't want to be there. And by the way, they had an agreement with, Hugo Vienna, the former sporting director, to say that you can leave for 30% less on the release clause, what you actually said on 100 million. Let's continue reading this, because I find it very funny, Sporting have an understanding after weeks of meetings that they are not demanding the value of the release clause, but rather it will be a reasonable fee. I don't say what the price is, the players knows it. That's another cryptic message. So now it's the sporting president kind of admitting that, hey, I was wrong saying that we want 100 million, 80 million. We're never going to get it because there's no clubs bidding for him. Clubs do not have the money. And I understand that Arsenal going for Sesko is because it's a cheaper deal. The agent fee is less, the wage demand is less, and the overall package to buy him is absolutely less. If Arsenal can get him down for 65 million, 70, they will do the deal. And reports are saying that are coming very close to that 65, 70 million, right? So that means the Gyokeres is open. And now you see the sporting director coming out and speaking, trying again to increase the value. But he's saying, I'm not blocking the move here, but we have sort of agreed the price. And that was been the stumbling block because clubs have been confused. What's it going to be? Is it what they initially reported, 55 plus 10? And now you're seeing the sporting president gobshiting his mouth to say, well, no, 80 million, 100 million. And now he's coming out to say this. And this is where I call it a play for the gallery. Yeah, this is what I call a play for the gallery. So what he's saying here is basically, I can say that Viktor will not leave for 60 plus 10 in add-ons. He will not leave. He simply will not for that money. So again, negotiations tactics. He will not accept 60 million euros. But guys, if you know, you know. If you know, you know. Manchester United will never pay that release clause anyway. Why? I'll let you in a clue. It's called amortization. We've seen that Manchester United and the new regime, even if it's a release clause, they go in on a favorable terms. They might pay 65 million and 10 add-ons or 5 add-ons, but they offer 5 million more so they can actually do installments, which is amortization. And in a way, if you sort of break down the fee, Man United haven't spent much in net spend, because if you do amortization, you might have, 10 million installment on Cunha first deal, 10 million on, on Mbeumo deal, and 10 million on Gyokeres. Man United have then only spent 30 million on this PSR year. So even if we have a budget on 100, 120 million, we're still saving a lot of money on that. So there's definitely a deal that could be made. I want to hear your thoughts and feelings. What do you think about the president? Is he holding Gyokeres for ransom? I think he's being a prat. I think he's holding Gyokeres for ransom because he said the player knows what the price is. So that means that they have agreed already. They know what the price is. So that means it's an open door for United to start actually doing the bidding. Anyway, Luman, big up to you as well. Big up Mr. Mick, the legend in the house. Big up to you, Luman. And David comes in again to say the director at United run the team just like the team plays on the pitch. Slowly and boring. Yeah, in a way. I mean, again, it is so for you sometimes slowly and boring. I know the transfer window can be a meat grinder, right? It is what it is. But, you can only judge it by the end of the transfer window. So, again, I repeat myself that, we are still early. There's still like a month and a half to go, and anything could happen, right? So just be a little bit patient and calm, and you will see players going out the door, right? And players will come in at the end of the day. Inspired channel, what you're saying here, big up Inspired channel. My thoughts on Gyokeres is more closer to Arsenal than Man United. I don't think so, mate. Not what I'm being hearing, right? That is now turning the tables. We know for fact that Sesko has been in the project 1 year in Arsenal. This is the target that they always wanted, right? And he said yes in January, but then he changed his mind. Like, he already said yes to personal terms. And he said, like, listen, give me one more season at RB Leipzig to develop. And then in the summer, I come. So they already had a gentleman's agreement, a pact over there. But in the meantime, Arsenal recruited a new sporting director called Andrea Berta. And Andrea Berta is a sly yucker. So he likes to do, I'm going to quote Ben Jacobs, like he likes to use this suit analogy. He's like he's coming to a party, he's wearing 3 different suits, and he doesn't really know which bride he's going to bid for or to dance with. So in his back of his mind, he's got 3 different targets, and at the end of the day, he will put on the suit and dance with the one that says yes to him, right, on his demands. So in this case, it's always been the target, which is club signing, which is Sesko. Stylistically speaking, Sesko fits more Arteta ball than Gyokeres. And why I want Gyokeres to come into Manchester United is not only for personal reasons. It's the only striker that do understand Ruben Amorim's system. So for me, it does not really matter if he comes in late, because this is a plug and play. Like, this is somebody that will just come in. He played under Ruben Amorim's system, 3-4-3 system. He knows exactly the runs. All he needs to do is sort of a little bit of a teammates adaptation, a little bit of a club orientation, and that's it, right? We already have a proven goal scorer there already. And I'm not really worried about goals, because if you look at the overall striking force, what we are recruiting right now, the 2 number 10s in Mbeumo, 100%. Mbeumo will give you 20 goals, 22 goals. You know, maybe Cunha will give you 15 and 20 goals already there. And then in the middle, you add the potent striker of Gyokeres. Of course, he scored 60 plus goals in the Portuguese league, but at least that would come in half, like 30 goals, 25 goals. You know, if you're Gyokeres. Just look at Erling Haaland. He came from German Bundesliga, right? He came in his first season with City and scored shitloads of goals. Like, I think he had over 30 goals or something. So nothing is impossible, in my opinion. But anyway, guys, this is what's going on right now. If you're talking about the Gyokeres situation, if we're talking about Manchester United outs, but I want to focus on the outs. So I want to play a clip from today's video. We did pre-recorded, as what we always do, and I tend to go live afterwards. So get your questions as well. If you do have any questions, Mark is coming in here as well, sort of to react with me. But let's start with the Jadon Sancho situation. This is, in my opinion, a evil pill to swallow. Like, Jadon Sancho, I mean, every single fan that I speak to just say, like, you know, Jadon Sancho, what a flop. It must be the worst signing in Manchester United's history. This guy got his big move. The guy haven't really put in a shift. It's seriously, like, and they fall out with Erik ten Hag, and, you know, and post that freedom fighter. Unprofessional. And then we hear Jose Mourinho from Fenerbahce, because Fenerbahce was interesting. And Jose Mourinho comes out, I don't want, you know, I only want professionals. So he had a conversation with Jadon Sancho's agent, and he didn't find him professional. So for me, that is a passion merchant, as a money grabbing merchant. So this is something that I think is a big headache, you know. And the reports coming out from Italy is basically Napoli fell out the race because they couldn't afford it. So the only club is left, and the only club that is showing interest is no other than Juventus. Let's play the clip from the previous interview today regarding Alfredo Pedullà on Sancho. Let's go. First question from our viewers, Alfredo, is what is the latest updates on Jadon Sancho? Is Juventus bidding for him? And how advanced is the Fenerbahce rumors? Who is currently leading the race, and who can actually afford his wages and Manchester United's asking price? Alfredo.
The truth is, Juventus is after him. They've been the Italian club sticking with Sancho for the past 4 days. Juventus is definitely on it, and right now we need to move forward carefully because the transfer fee sits around 25 million euros. But there's definitely the issue with the wage that complicates things. Juventus is really trying to push ahead, and it's true that he has offers from Fenerbahce as well as from Rabona, but those offers are currently stalled and not progressing. So we need to keep a close eye on this situation, just like we've been doing with Rashford, Nico Williams, and others who are developing well. It seems like the right moment to update on Hojlund's situation soon, because there's a lot happening around these transfers that we need to monitor closely.
Wow, that is a big bomb, Alfredo. I do, however, have a follow-up question. I want to confirm a story regarding Dusan Vlahovic to Manchester United and a potential swap deal for Sancho. Is this anything in this, or just speculations? Alfredo.
Right now, we're just talking rumors. He hasn't been great, even if he scored in the last match. Remember, his salary is 12 million in the final year. The transfer fee is doable at 20-25 million. And swaps are often mentioned. I don't rule out exchanges, but he's basically on standby. United's already got strikers, and then there's this wild battle over Carel from Gyokeres. But again, Juventus is only considering how to convince and find a deal for Sancho at this point.
So there you heard it from the horse's mouth earlier today. So Juventus is really pushing hard, right? I created a poll for you guys, you know, so there's only options left is Juventus, which is a rich club that can actually afford, you know, Jadon Sancho. They really want Jadon Sancho. So they are coming very close for an agreement. But it all comes down to Sancho, you know, because they will not pay the wages that he's on currently on, I think it's 12 million something per year. And this is something that Juventus will not pay. There is advanced communications with Jadon Sancho's camp and Jadon Sancho and Manchester United, according to Alfredo Pedullà, for the last 4 days. They have no problems of offering meeting Manchester United's demand of 25 million, right? Manchester United already made 5 million from getting him back from Chelsea, but the stumbling block is the wages. Now, Sancho is running out of options. Of course, Fenerbahce was interested. There's other, suitors in Serie A that's interested, but they don't have the money. Here's the thing. Juventus really want him, and they are pushing really hard to convince him. Lower down your salary, and you will get your contract. Guys, I want to hear from you thoughts and feelings, guys. I started a poll which read, will Jadon Sancho end up Juventus? Yes or no? Very simple. Get involved. And I also want to hear your comments. What do you think? What do you think, right? Surely Richard James, surely someone close to him told Sancho to lower down his wage standards. It will be in his favor. World Cup next, for fuck's sake. Yeah, no. Listen, here's the thing. I keep saying there's good agents and they're bad agents, right? Redeem yourself, Sancho, for crying out loud. As a fan, I'm speaking. Redeem yourself right now, because you're running out of options. You're looking like a prat at the moment, right? You tweeted out freedom, like, you were owned by Manchester United still, right? You made an enemy, right? You never clicked at Man United. So it's the biggest flop. And clubs are not stupid, right? They're not. You went to Chelsea, you had a decent spell, but Chelsea wanted you. They offered you a lower wages, but you didn't. Nah, I want the same salary. Well, it's a wake-up call right now for Jadon Sancho, because nobody ever is going to pay him that salary unless he goes to Saudi Arabia, which I don't think he wants, because there's no party in Saudi Arabia at the end of the day. Sure, Saudi can afford his wages. They can even double his wages to play for Al Hilal. Not a problem. But it all comes down to Sancho and his agent. And this instance, I think his agent's being absolutely a bad agent, right? If you're running down your options, what should you do with a broken Sancho? Yeah. Would you advise him just stay at United and just run down your contract, go for free and collect your money? But what kind of message are you sending as an agent, right? Your reputation is on the line. Oh, you're the agent of Sancho. Ah, yeah, I see. And what kind of message does Sancho send to other clubs? I'm professional. And that way, I would say that Mourinho was right to say that he rejected. He said, I don't want, I want professionals. He's not professional. So I want to hear your thoughts and feelings. Stephanie Griffith in the house, big up to you. And so let me know in the comments section below. And do not forget to like and subscribe as per usual. We have Mark in the house. I see he's live. He's coming in here. And I want to hear from Mark as well. Mark, are you there? Let's see. I will add Mark to the stage. Mark, you there?
Hey guys, big up to everyone.
Hey,
Happy
what's
Sunday.
your camera?
Oh, I'm walking. I'm still walking. I've been at the
Any are you?
mark. I'm Hoyter, so it's been a long one.
Yeah.
I'm now walking about the place, to be fair. So that's why I had the camera off, so it wouldn't be a moving background.
Yeah. No. Listen. What do you think about the Sancho story here? Is he running out of options?
He should be out of options a long time ago. The guy is. I don't know. It's a long one. Like, speaking from someone who's a fan of the player and excited for him to come to Man United. Of course, I still would like him to play for Trinidad and Tobago. But at the same time, right now, what he's doing is not positive for football. It's not going to help him be a better footballer. It's not going to be better for his career. It's about the money. And when a player takes this sort of step, it's one of those things where you look at it and you say that, it's the end of his career, or it's something that could damage his stock as a player in general. At Man United, it's not an option anymore. I would not.
Do you agree what you're saying? I mean, is it agent being absolutely ridiculous? Is it like is it Sancho the football player or Sancho the businessman? What are we talking here? Of course he's a football player.
He's a football player, but whoever is advising him right now is not advising him based on football. You know what I mean? If I was his advisor, I would say, for the last 4 seasons, you made 300K a week. Be thankful. Now we're going to cut that down in half, and we're going to play some football and try to get your career back in line. And but it's a difficult one.
I think about his background. I think he grew up in poor South London, playing the cage football. His family's from Trinidad and Tobago, didn't have much money. And this is like, making the big money now, like, You know, this is coming out from the ghetto in a way, right? But to get out of jail at the moment, like he needs to lower down his wages, 100%.
He needs to make football a priority. That's the only way I could say it right now because it doesn't seem like football is the priority. Playing football should be
Mm.
paramount. I mean, you can say what you will about players. I think when a player delivers, he deserves to get paid whatever he demands. But right now, Sancho, you're not that guy. And if you want to be playing football, you got to be playing football. And right now, at those
Mm.
wages, you're turning clubs away from you rather than making them more interested in you. And that
Yeah.
makes
There's
that
Premier,
makes no sense.
there's no Premier club that's interested. There's nothing coming from the Premier League. He ain't going to go to Fenerbahce. Germany is ruled out, like, Dortmund again, and
Yeah,
it's all
well,
ruled
no one
out.
is definitely nowhere in Germany or nowhere in Italy. They're gonna pay 300K a week to Jadon Sancho. That's not happening.
Unless what I said, unless Saudi Arabia offers him 350K per week, because that guy is not interested to play in the World Cup, unless he's ambitious enough to play football and get into not Gareth Southgate, sorry, Thomas Tuchel, the World Cup team.
I don't even see that being a possibility. I mean,
Yeah, but on the other hand, Juventus is in Champions League. Juventus is, a top big club, and I would say that, hey, if you really want to play for Juve, just swallow your pride. Just do a wage cut, get paid 200K a week. It's not a big loss. I mean,
it's
taxes
not,
are
but
less in Italy than in UK, I would say.
true. But
Yeah,
is he
and bro,
gonna do that? I don't.
well, I don't know, because if you look at Anthony Dos Santos, I will tell you a secret what nobody's talking about. There is in Spain, there is something called the Bosman rule. There's a mark disappearing. So, guys, if you don't know, in Spain they have something called the Bosman rule. That means if you're a first-time taxpayer in Spain, you get tax deduction. You only pay I think it's about 15-20%. So it makes sense for him to say, okay, I will lower down my wages because the tax is on the Bosman rule. He will earn actually more by lowering down his wages. Did you know that?
I didn't know that. But at the same time,
I know
it's
that.
one of those things that I've been hearing that there's some talks that, he was always trying to lower down his wages because remember, United, it was one of the biggest problems was the size of his wages for United. So I think in general, it was something that was always going to happen this season. At the same time, it shows that a player wanting to play football to be the purpose of what he doing. Football, a
Yeah,
football player. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
every player should always put football first until I
yeah.
can't decide for them what type of wages they should demand or whatever the case is,
Fair
but
enough.
they should always
Fair enough.
make it at the end of the day, football being the main priority or what they aim
Yeah.
to do. Because a lot of players, it don't seem like that's their realistic approach.
Okay. I just was told by Alfredo just keep a close eye on it because Juventus are really pushing to convince him, and he's running out of options. So I think he will become a Juve player. I think that would be the instigator, the fire starter. We get the 25 million for Juve, and we go for the striker, which is Gyokeres, or we go for the midfielder. So I wouldn't, I wouldn't sort of rule it out. I wouldn't rule it out. I wouldn't. And by the way, Jamie Wayne is coming in. Chelsea signed Gittins, which is a Dortmund player, right? And
Yeah,
João Pedro.
Gittins is, this player Gittins that Chelsea just signed is a player that I have been looking at over the last 2.5 years. Very interesting talent. Plays for the England under 21 internationals. He is sort of like, I would say, a taller version of Sancho that's a little bit more, how to put it, he has a little bit more energy, a little bit more of an engine about him. He's a little bit more physical, you know, very, very talented, to be fair, though. Is a player that I would have liked us to get at Man United because I think he would have been
Yeah,
a better solution of the left. But at the same time, it is what it is. Chelsea has been signing most of our targets for the last
yeah.
2 seasons now. It's a weird one.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Sadek is saying we are broke and we need to make sales before we bring in new players. Actually, I will hold that thought. We need Qatar and full sale. Listen, Sadek, what not everyone is talking about now. As of 1st of June now or July. Well, I keep mixing up June July for some reason. After 1st of July, right? it's a total different ball games in finances. Manchester United don't really need to sell right now, but if they make the deals now before the end of the old financial year, we'll be in FFP problems, we'll be in PSR. Coming next month, which is next week, you will see that Manchester United can move swiftly on the market. You know what I mean? And as I explained, those deals that they're doing is amortization. Like you can get 3 players and it will only be 30 million for register on the PSR book. If you get 10 million first installment for Cunha, 10 million for Mbeumo, if you do it 4 or 5 years amortization. So it's never going to be like, that way. So that means that Manchester United can afford. We're offloading a lot of wages. And Casemiro looks like he's staying because at the end of the day, they might keep Casemiro because they're not potentially going to buy another midfielder. So they might stick with Casemiro another season.
Yeah, the Casemiro thing was never really a big issue. I think if everyone was watching this season, Casemiro definitely fits in this Amorim system. Whether he starts every single game or he starts every other game, I think he definitely plays a role in the team. It's also going to be interesting to see what we do, who is the front three, because a lot of it hinges on who we sign and when we sign them. It's really important that we get most of these signings in at least before the month of August. At least this manager will have some time with them on the training ground before we go through all the preseason games and these kinds of things. I think that is the one thing that we have not done over the last 5 seasons. Even under Ten Hag, his signings never came in until the first week of the season. And the bulk of signings came in after the first 3 games were played. So it's one thing that I don't hope that happens to Amorim. At the same time, I would not worry. A lot of fans worrying about, if we need to sell to buy. I don't think sell to buy is critical right now. Even if you look at the signing of Mbeumo, it's going to be 20 million off the books. We have 140 million headroom in FFP. We are number 1 when it comes to FFP headroom in the Premier League, or number 2, I think, like that. At the same time, we've only spent 20 million on the books according to what has happened this year in terms of expenditure. When in terms of the signing of Matthias Cunha, it will be another 20 million when we sign Mbeumo. That takes us to 40. We could still spend 64 million pounds to sign Viktor Gyökeres straight up cash before we are at sell to buy in terms of a necessity. So
I don't know if you came out late to the stream, but the sporting president is playing another game release because currently it's only United left in the game because Arsenal are advancing very, very fast now with the Benjamin Sesko. And he came out to spoke that, again, that he's backtracking now. Like it will never be the release clause, but it won't be 60 plus 10. And that's why I said United will never pay 60 plus 10. They will do anyway. They will offer 5 more or 10 more in order to do amortization. So the way I see it, United is the only one left in the game at the moment. Juventus is out of the race because they can't afford it. Real Madrid don't need it. Liverpool, is per what I saw reports now, are going head in for etiquette.
Yeah, Liverpool
They're
had
going for
joined the
etiquette.
race. They had made a conversation, but they are not willing to spend 78 million pounds in order to secure the signing. Of course, it might be a situation where Sporting from other clubs is demanding as full a fee as possible, but based on agreements that they have gentlemanly with Amorim, United might be favored in the sense that we will not be expected to pay the same amount that they are expected to pay. Of course, it's going to be somewhere in the region of 75 to 80 million euros, the deal, but that in terms will be in English 64 million pounds, give or take.
I'm confident now that Man United will land this. Like Verandas, the president, has come out to say the agent and the player already know the price. So that means that they have been talking for the past days to settle this thing. So now they know what the price is. And now we see the Arsenal pivot away because you know what? Sesko is a cheaper deal. The agent fee is less. His wage demand is less. They managed to get the fee down to 65 million pounds, which has been the target for Andrea Berta. And that is ready to rock and roll at the moment. And we know that Benjamin Sesko has been their prime target for the past year. And this is the number 1 target for them. So now this opens 100%. Up the door for United, 100%. And as I said, Champions League is not always on the player's mind. He would have joined Man United either way, according to Fabrizio Romano, right? Either way. So I think now it's just down to Man United just to fix up the finances, get the Mbeumo deal over the line and then focus on Gyokeres. And that's what I believe will be happening. And then we will attack the midfield.
Yeah, I think it's a patient game right now with everyone. I think the
Yeah,
Viktor Gyökeres deal was always going to be a deal. If we did not win the Europa League, it was always going to take majority of the summer. It's the one player I don't think needs to come into the club soon. I think he comes in, he
it's
fits the
Gyokeres.
system. The system
That's
plays
what I
to
said
suit
earlier.
him. And I think that's one of the reasons why it's not a big deal. We haven't secured his signature yet. But the likes of Mbeumo, Cunha, if we were to sign another defender like the likes of what I would say is, I've been talking about him a long time. He also plays at Sporting. The young centre back that Crystal Palace is trying to make a move for, Diamade, somewhere in the region of 35 to 40 million pounds. I think United is waiting for Sporting to agree a fee and jump in and sign him just for a little bit more money from Sporting. And it's going to be interesting to see what we do. However, I think it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of patience from the fan base with
Yeah.
this transfer
I
window
mean,
because it's
it's
not
a strong, it's a strong message for Veranda to say basically we don't need to sell any of our players. Like, we don't need to sell Viktor Gyökeres. But then if you read the tweet further down, I mean, Gyokeres is already forced to move. He's already said goodbye. So you cannot keep a player that don't want to be that. And then at the end of the day, the price will come down, So I agree what you're saying there, Mark, because this is not a play that we need to get ASAP. This is a play, what I said earlier in the stream as well, that could come in a little bit later, and this suits Man United fine because that gives us the time to sell the players that we need to sell in order to generate funds as well. So I would say that it ain't matter if he comes in like just before 1 week before the Premier League starts, because he knows Ruben Amorim, he knows the demands of Ruben, he knows it's a plug and play 3-4-3 system. He knows exactly. All he needs to do is get to know his teammates, and so the teammates can understand his runs and where he wants the ball, and off you go.
exactly. And
Yeah.
this is where it gets tricky for Man United and Man United fans because we're coming off the back of a terrible season. And of course, everybody wants to see players leave. Everybody wants to see new players come in to feel the excitement, to have an idea of where we're going to be at the start of the season. But I would say to everyone, be a little bit patient. Don't panic just yet. There is about 6-7 weeks left in the transfer window still at this point. So it's not one of those times where we need to be, overly frustrated. Have a little patience. And hopefully this week you will get some here we goes because the Mbeumo deal is steadily advancing despite the refusal. Like you were saying about the 63 million, and I was telling you that I'm not too sure because I feel like I've heard that, before that Brentford wants a guaranteed 65 million pounds,
Yeah.
whether they get 60 and 5 as add-ons. And this was the deal that would be accepted. So I think Man United already knew this in advance. I think what they did was try
No,
to,
they
see if they
agreed.
could.
They agreed on the total package of 63, but what they're haggling about is the guaranteed money. Man United want to sort of put up 53 in guaranteed money. They said, now we want 55. Now we want 60 and potentially 3 add-ons, because the add-ons can be ridiculous stuff. The add-ons isn't guaranteed money. And as a sort of selling club, you want to make sure that you get a maximum return. If you're selling your bike or car, you want as much as you want, as you want for it, because the add-ons doesn't really make sense. You know what I mean? So you
Yeah.
can understand Brentford, as well.
My signal is dropping a little bit from where I'm at right now, Mick. So I might have to drop off and come
Yeah.
back in a little bit when I
Yeah,
when I get
sure.
back better signal.
Sure. We're going to move on anyway. We're going to play the next segment as well from today's, and we're going to talk about the goalkeeping situation, guys. But before we do that, guys, take a little bit breather, take a little bit stretch, and do not forget to do me one massive favor, because this is free content. That's it. We want as much as likes as possible because we have a new challenge. If we get up to 100 likes, we'll see Roydon Frost come in and do a tablespoon of Carolina Reaper hot sauce pepper. Unfortunately, Roydon couldn't join today, so he dodged the bullet. But next time, if we get 100 likes, 200 likes, that means teaspoons of Roydon's Frost Reaper challenge. Anyway, guys, I'm going to play the next clip, and we're going to talk about the goalkeeping situation, because there's a lot of rumblings about Onana leaving and potentially getting out on a loan deal exactly. But Man United definitely wants to get a goalkeeper. And who will that be? Of course, I spoke about, I asked Alfredo Pedullà today, and this is what he said. Let's play the goalkeeper clip. Just did the summary. If you have missed out the video, go watch it in full, but here it is. Since our last episode that we did, I have been getting a lot of questions regarding the goalkeepers. My follow-up question to you, there's been heavily reports, including yourself, that Manchester United are interested in a new goalkeeper. Last week you mentioned Marco Carnesecchi from Atalanta, and this week we hear that Ruben Amorim wants Diogo Costa or Milinković-Savić. Surely Onana is on his way out. Can you tell me and the Manchester United fans, what is the latest regarding the goalkeeping situation, Alfredo?
I've updated this in the last few hours. There were definitely contacts, I guarantee you 100%, with the middleman involved in the operation. Relations between Atalanta and Manchester United are quite good, and actually there are more candidates, maybe even a few more than you've mentioned before. Manchester United values him around 40 million. For Atalanta, 40 could be a base, but with some easy bonuses. Want Milinković-Savić and are ready to pay the 20 million foreign clause, but he seems to want to wait before any move. The issue is Onana must leave first, and he cost over 50 million net. So managing this new signing is complex, and timing will be crucial in the transfer.
Okay, cool. Interesting. It looks like Onana will leave Man United if there is any money to get a second goalkeeper.
His performance wasn't great, but you know that better than me. We must seriously consider the dry meat option, since there have definitely been discussions behind the scenes with all parties involved.
So they're here for the horse's mouth, and I just created a new poll, and the poll is, which goalkeeper do you prefer if Onana leaves? I'm just going to go and check the last poll because I closed the poll regarding, let me see, regarding Sancho. Will Sancho end up at Juve? And it was a simple yes and no. And majority of you said yes, 64%, and 35% said no. Total vote polls was about 50 polls. Now I created a new one. It's basically saying, like, which goalkeeper do you want? And I will start the poll right now. Did I start the poll? No, I will delete the poll. Yes, I start a poll right now, which is, I give you three options. Like, this is the most serious one that we are linked to. Carnesecchi, Milinković-Savić, Diogo Costa. Now, Diogo Costa is, per my understanding, it is a little bit of expensive deal, but that is my favorite goalkeeper, and that is Ruben Amorim's favorite goalkeeper. What Alfredo was saying here, that there has been generally contacts regarding Carnesecchi from Atalanta, and there has been concrete talks, not club to club, but intermediates. And as Atalanta don't really want to sell, but they set a sort of an expectation price of 40 million, which is about 30 million pounds. That is a decent price for a goalkeeper, in my opinion. A decent goalkeeper, I would say, shot stopper, good on the ball with his feet. And that is what Manchester United need, a solid goalkeeper. We look at the age bracket of 25, 26 years of age, similar to what Diogo Costa is. Milinković-Savić, of course, he mentioned Milinković-Savić is still on the mix for Man United, but Milinković-Savić hasn't really contemplated what he wants to do. There is a 20 million release clause to pay for Milinković-Savić. So at the end of the day, it ain't matter because here comes the cat. Sorry. Sorry. Yeah, you little terrorist catastrophe. Sorry. So at the end of the day, which goalkeeper do you think will be best suited? Now we've seen that, it was pretty much a phantom story regarding Martinez, right? Emi Martínez. Now his agent is pimping out to Chelsea as well. So it was more agent-driven than Man United want him, right? He was pushing for Manchester United, and Manchester United wasn't really in negotiations to talk for Emi Martínez. I don't think that they looked at Emi Martínez and say, well, we need something better. It's just a little bit upgrade on, Onana. As what Mark said, he had a shocking season last season as well. So I want to hear your thoughts and feelings. Get involved in the chat as well. I'm going to go into the chat before I go to the post. Yeah, 4 away from 50 likes. That means that we need 50 more for a Deadly Reaper. Yeah, 100%. Sadek wants Costa, what you're saying here. Get involved in the chat. Which goalkeeper do you want? Costa, what you're saying here. I personally like Costa, but if I had a choice, and if I'm smart from a financial perspective, I would go for Vanja Milinković-Savić. 2 meters and 4 centimeters tall. It's a monster. Like, you know, it's a shot stopper, record of penalty savings, good on the feet, good on the ball. But what a wingspan the man has, like, you know, 20 million euros we can get him for. And I think that is a goalkeeper that we need, you know. And Man United are interested in Milinković-Savić. They are lining up different options currently, as what we're doing in midfield at the moment as well. So at the end of the day, we will see, like, but it all depends on Onana, like, you know, the departure. Or will they be so brave just to fizz Onana out? They will still get a number 2, sort of pretend it's a number 2 goalkeeper and just do what they did with Kepa at Chelsea, like, you know, Arisabi, Gaga, Kepa, and just fizz them out, right? Or what Arsenal did with Ramsdale, like, you know, they brought in a new goalkeeper and just fizzed them out, and at the end of the day, they forced to move. But the difference is that clubs are looking at Onana and say, like, you know, his season in Man United is difficult, right? So the only saving grace is potentially getting him out alone, or potentially getting Saudi to come in and pay the money. But if there is any Saudi reports, you should definitely look to Ben Jacobs, what he's saying. Neil Gisco wants Costa, you know. Stephanie Griffith wants Compost Smurf. No, Compost is saying a goalkeeper that can't catch the ball would be great. Perfectly. Now, what's the role of a goalkeeper? You know, to stand there with your cement feet, like, you know, and just watch the ball sail in the corner, and then you pretend to dive. But you fall like a timber, like, you know, you're a log, like you're like an oil tanker, Onana. God damn it, like, you know. Onana is, after Jadon Sancho, the worst signing in Man United's history, in my opinion. Or could it be anyone worse? If you know anyone worse, let me know. I thought that potentially Anthony was a flop, but Anthony's been a professional, right? Yeah, Anthony didn't complain, and Anthony's willing to lower his wages, you know. Mick, what are you saying? Steph has lost the spanner. Can you remod her? Oh, I haven't lost. Wow, how did it happen? Stephanie, let me just see what I can do. No, Stephanie, I didn't do anything. How did you lose your spanner? Steph, let me fix that, but I can't do it right now, Stephanie. Who did remove you? Stephanie, bear with me. I will add you in after the show, okay? I will add you. No worries, Stephanie. I don't know what happened. I have certainly not removed. Stephanie is a legend, 100%. Dark Crow is saying, I will give my spanner to Stephanie if I win the league this season. Listen, don't worry. Stephanie is a legend here. I will sort of try to see if I can add her on. Maybe I can do it live here right now. I'm not sure. Let me see. Stephanie Griffith, can I add you? Can I add you as... yes, adding you, Stephanie, right now. I'm adding you, Stephanie, as a managing moderator. Happy. Now, done. Boom. Done it. Woohoo! Technology. Now, Stephanie is the managing director of the moderators. Stephanie, confirm if you got the managing director of the moderators. Give me a thumbs up. Confirm. I just did it. I just did it. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Going once. Going twice. Stephanie, respond. This is Major Tom to Stephanie. Yes. Yeah, she lost the data. You got it. Thanks, Mick. You're welcome. Yeah, there's a lot of gremlins going on at the moment. People are losing the data. Guys, do me a massive favor, as per usual. Now we gifted Stephanie back her spanner. And I know it's the transfer window, but you haven't seen this as of yet. Like, it's been a while since you saw this one. Mick going apeshit. I'm keeping cool and composed. But a lot of you in the comments are not having the patience because you're looking at what Liverpool is doing, what Arsenal are doing. Keep calm. Yep, guys, that was the way we used to operate, and that was like the signature of Mick Ruby when I was frustrated. Anyway, yes, I love you back. Yeah, she's blue again. Thank you. Blue like a Smurf. Yeah, this is just me giving you a message, guys. Be a little bit patient. Let's dive into the next story, and before we finish the poll, but do keep voting on the poll. I'm kind of interested to see where we're at. Yeah, let's close the poll. Right, we have, Jesus Christ, only 23 votes, guys. Come on. There's like over 800 people watching. We have 55 likes. Can we get 100 likes, please? How is this possible? How is this possible? Tell me. If there's 800 watching only on one platform, YouTube, and only 55 likes. That means that you're passive. It's free content, people. Free content. Like and subscribe. Listen, I will force to do that. If you want to see me even doing a Hot Reaper challenge, I will do that. Guys, I give you 3 seconds. Get those likes up. Come on. All right. I hope you actually smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new, and also leave your comments. Get involved with the Q&A section as well. I'm going to end this poll as well. Where are we having the poll? What goalkeeper would you want based on the reports, what we heard Alfredo Pedullà today? I gave you 3 options: Carnesecchi, Milinković-Savić, Diogo Costa. Funny thing is that Alfredo never mentioned Diogo Costa, so you guys put Diogo Costa as number 1, 67%. Big up. Milinković-Savić on second. I agree. Milinković-Savić is the more realistic target, and Carnesecchi only 4%. Wow. End this poll. Big up, everyone. Thank you for getting involved and you know, being with this poll. I'm going to move on because it seems like Mark is not coming back. I think that he had bad Wi-Fi as well. But anyway, yeah, I understand, Jamie. I was in the right headspace, but at calm, unfortunately, I'm not. Yeah, I understand, Jamie. Listen, you know, life is a piece of shit when you look at it. You know, always look at the bright side of life. Which quote is that? That's taken from Monty Python, Life of Brian. You know what I mean? Only you can sort of define what's shit or not shit, right? If it's rain today, there will be sunshine tomorrow. Always like that. It's the Newton's law, man. So don't get this transfer business like spinning and ruin your mind. And you know, I always keep saying that it's just a game. It's a club. It's a family. I know it's a family, but you know what? Let the boys cook. Let them do the business, and we as a fan just enjoy whatever we get, right? If we don't get anything, then I am being in your panic station, Jamie. Then you will see definitely Mick Ruby going ape shit. No, you know. Okay, let's move on to the next story. Let's round things up. Let's speed things up, guys. I want to go into the outs of Rasmus Hojlund, guys. Rasmus Hojlund, what is going to be Juventus, Inter Milan? And apparently Inter Milan is got big hopes for him. Let's hear what Alfredo Pedullà had to say about Rasmus Hojlund.
Last week we spoke about Rasmus Hojlund. Have there been any new developments, as we keep hearing reports that Inter Milan is in negotiations with Hojlund? What is the latest, Alfredo?
Look, I've never really been that keen on Hojlund. Honestly, I don't like it when a striker gets linked to too many clubs. Hojlund has been linked to Juventus, Napoli and Inter in Italy this past month, mostly strongly to Inter, but I prefer to talk about concrete stuff. The concrete thing for Inter is Pio Esposito. Pio Esposito was outstanding in the last match. He scored, no doubt, but more importantly, he showed he's truly Inter material. Remember, Inter is closing the Boni deal. They have Thuram, Lautaro, Boni, and are backing Pio Esposito as a future star. Bringing in Hojlund shows a serious investment to strengthen the team. Today, and even yesterday, this wasn't a hot lead or something they felt urgent about. It was more an idea they chose not to push right now. They're focused on closing the Boni deal soon. So while there's hype around Hojlund, it seems he'll likely take his time, deciding his next move further down the road instead of rushing anything prematurely.
Okay, very interesting regarding Rasmus Hojlund.
All right, so guys, get involved in your opinion, because Alfredo is very exclusive. Me and Alfredo 2 years ago, we did this exclusive as well, when we actually broke the story regarding Rasmus Hojlund, regarding Amrabat to United, regarding Onana, unfortunately, to United. You know, we had exclusive scoops, and we came out to say that, you know, this is a done deal. And then, of course, the Fabrizio Romano came in and just said, here we go, and everyone believed. But Alfredo Pedullà is quite credible when it comes to Serie A football, Calcio Italia, Mercato. So it's very beautiful to hear. Now, the story is that Inter is not really pushing that hard at the moment. They are in the World Cup club competition. The prime focus, if of course, is to sign Boni, right? And Boni, if you know, is an excellent striker as well. But the dream... actually, striker is a forward, but they have Hojlund part of the vision to complete that trio, right, in the striking force. So they will see and they will revisit, but it's down to Hojlund, because Hojlund said he wants to remain at Man United to develop. Depends on if we do get a Gyokeres, Hojlund might stay and play second fiddle and get that dream development, the learning curve that he never got. You can be critical to Hojlund over this season. I agree. Like, he was absolutely dog shite from he was a broken player, but it was never his fault if you look at it from a sort of, if you put your thinking hat on. Like, there was nobody to mentor him. There was no senior striker he can learn from. So even if he stays at United, it's not the end of the world. Like, he can play as a number 2 and develop. But on the other hand, Inter is pushing either on a permanent deal or as a loan with an obligation to buy the next season. And Manchester United are looking at the finances. So it all depends on, because they don't want to make a loss. That's the thing. It would be a sensible thing to potentially loan him out and play Xerxes as a false number 9 or the second number 9. Loan Rasmus Hojlund out, get him development under, Inter Milan, and they see him as a sort of a development, like to complete the front line for Inter as well, to be competitive. And that's what was my understanding, and I tweeted this out as well. So the coming weeks will tell 100%, because there is conversations between Man United, there is conversation with Inter Milan and Rasmus Hojlund agent. But as Alfredo said, like, Rasmus is currently on holiday. He's thinking about his option. He doesn't really want to make sort of a hasty decision as of yet. So this will be the one to watch. This could be the funnel. Like, if it's a permanent deal, we might get 40 million euros for him, or 45 million to break even and get his wages off the wage bill. So that means that, I don't know, let me know in the chat as well, like what you think as well. I want to sort of dive into the chat as well, what you think. Yes, true. The Amrabat was actually covered on my channel. That's true. We were the first one to break the deal. Yeah, 100%, Jamie. You were right in that one. So people, yeah. Neil Drishko, you chilled about the transfer win. That's the approach, 100%. Yeah, you're back. You're back. No longer naked. Stephanie, I haven't even seen you. And big up, Mr. Edmund as well. Get involved, guys. What do you think about Hojlund at the end of the day? Get involved with the chat. Yes, and of course, we got to be competitive as well. Our channel is on a sort of growth at the moment. We've been operating for 2 years. And it would be mint if we can get up to 50K subscribers by the end of this transfer window, or, by the end of the year, I'm deeply in fault for that, because, I'm a very busy man. Not only have this, I do this as a part-time or as a hobby, this channel. My aim is not to make money. My aim is to provide a voice of reasoning and to create a community. And you guys has been an amazing community, the VR room so far, has been part of this journey. So if we can get up to 50,000 subscribers, wow, that'd be something, right? And by the way, big announcement. I talked to Flying Pig United. We are apparently scheduled after a long time to do a show together this Wednesday. So I'm excited about that one. Me and Flying Pig. Joe, you're going to do a show together. Fantastic. Looking forward for that one. That's going to be a battle. Let me see. Let me go into the chat as well. What are you saying here? So the poll goes as following. Do you think Hojlund would end up at Inter? And the result is, drumroll, 57% says yes and 43% says no. I want to hear your logic and reasoning as well. So if you can kindly give me a little bit of meat on your bone according to your opinion, what you think. Like, and would it be bad if he stays at United to develop under Gyokeres, Smasher 1? Or do you think it's more beneficial for him to go out on loan or a purchase for Inter Milan, number 2? Get involved, 1 or 2, 1 or 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. And we will move on with the show, because we are now going 1 hour extra time. Mr. Deliso is saying, Mr. Tiramisu, please, I'd like Ederson, Gyokeres, Mbeumo, and Emi Martínez. You keep repeating, copy and paste, mate. Yeah, maybe we should have you as a sporting director, Mr. Deliso. I agree with you. That's a dream signing. But at the end of the day, like, a dream trio would be, in my opinion, let me see, a dream front attacking trio. That is a dream for Rakim. Cunha, Gyokeres, and definitely Mbeumo. That'd be a killer. And Bruno playing a little bit behind as a number 8. And then potentially we will get into the midfielder, which we are linked to today's bomber. There's talk of Onana basically could go out on a loan. Thoughts on that, Mick? Yeah, I covered that earlier. This is Man United trying to make way for a new goalkeeper. You can't keep Onana and his wages and bring in another goalkeeper and keep a friction, right? So, but bro, Brewski, like, you know, rather to keep him, get him on the loan, right? Fizz him out, yeah? So what's the point of keeping Onana if you're getting a number one goalkeeper? Just fizz him out, get him on the loan, and next season you sell him, right? Let him go out and play in another club, you know, redeem yourself, Onana. Like, look at what Anthony did. You might have a sort of a good season where you actually are, you know, showcasing what you're all about. Yeah? And Onana that played at, you know, Inter was actually good Onana. Onana that played in the Champions League was a fearsome Onana, right? And we actually played City when that year where we actually recruited in Onana. Pep Guardiola expressed concern, like there's only one weapon that we don't know how to control, and that is Andre Onana. But we haven't seen that Andre Onana ever since he did that howler. I think it was 3 games in when he actually did a howler and lost the ball. And ever since then, he's been scarred. Like, you know, he doesn't really go out and play, you know, on a high line, or, you know, we don't see Onana anymore like that. So yeah, 100%. But the age is important, 100%, Ahmed, 100%. Yeah, no, that's my thoughts. You know, to be honest, like I wouldn't mind a loan for Onana because let's face it, we bought him for 50 million and we want to recoup money. We're never going to get that money for Onana. No way. I mean, clubs are not blind. They looked at his performance this season, and he let more goals in one season than David De Gea did in his whole Manchester United career. So a loan. Yes, I take that 100%. What about you guys? What about you? Let's move on to the story before we round up the show, because I want to talk about the transfer bomber, and that transfer bomber is the midfield. We are currently linked to Richard Rios. Richard Rios is not in a rush at the moment. The price target, what I've been reporting, Manchester United can get him for £25 million, 100%. That the release clause is a ridiculous release clause from Palmeiras, especially for a player that never played in Europe. So that will come down to 25. They don't have any leverage, right? Richard Rios is doing fantastically well at the moment. He's on the Manchester United target. So is the Middlesbrough Aidan Hackney as well. But that's kind of a little bit of the last option. The one that they really, really want, I mean, we saw Palhinha was linked, but that kind of died out. But Alfredo and I spoke about one thing, and I will sort of dive into it, and that is today's bomber of today. Ladies and gentlemen, today's transfer bomber on the Hotometer. Let's go, Alfredo.
We need to reach roughly the 60 million mark to secure him, so it's something we must definitely follow closely, trying to see if this deal will actually develop over the coming weeks. Also, just to say, the relations between the clubs are excellent, not just for Hojlund and other deals, but because last summer United representatives made a surprise visit to Zingonia specifically to discuss Ederson. Ederson's deal is far from over or dead, with Al Hilal also involved in the discussions, so it's very much still ongoing and something to watch closely. He costs around 60 million. Last summer, Manchester United offered about 50, but now there are other targets on the horizon. What I can tell you for sure is that Manchester United and Atalanta are currently in talks, and we'll have to wait and see if anything significant develops from these discussions in the near future.
So, guys, and that was today's bomber, and Alfredo was widely reporting this, to be honest, and you know, Man United have excellent relationship with Atalanta. It goes all the way since we bought actually Amad Diallo from Atalanta for 34 million. And then Rasmus Hojlund, of course, we got played by the old regime. We overpaid for Rasmus Hojlund. We should have never paid that much money. But at the end of the day, you know, they are interested in Ruben Amorim's definitely given the green light, as per my understanding. Why he wants Ederson, let me explain. There's a reason why he wants Ederson. And the reason is basically because if you look at the front line, we are lacking goals, right? If you add on all of a sudden Cunha, you add on Mbeumo in the middle, you will have a Gyokeres. And then you'll have Bruno Fernandes playing a little bit as a number 8 behind as a shadow striker. You need a player that could sort of be combative. And Ederson fits the bill because he's got an engine and a half. You know, he can run up and down to field. He's a box-to-box as well. So he's kind of the destroyer that can win your ball back early. That means that you can retain pressure, win back the ball early, and keep pressure and play a high line. It's something that Ruben Amorim always wanted but didn't have with his current squad. Of course, you look at what Ugarte might do, but Ugarte is also a little bit of a liability. He attracts too many yellow cards, too many red cards, and that is something that it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of competition. And then if Casemiro is staying, I believe that Casemiro could be a backup option. I don't think that we see much of Casemiro featuring this season. He will finish off the season and then he will go and retire. So that is kind of the reason why, Amorim has given the green light for Ederson. I want to also add this to the stage, people. I want to add this to the stage because at the end of the day, I'm glad the United exclusives is quoting, but they never quoted where the source came from, right? They basically took my tweet and they didn't mention my name. They just put Alfredo Pedullà because it was actually me tweeting it from my account. So United exclusive, please rectify yourself. You took this from my tweet, from my timeline, and you only put Alfredo Pedullà because there was actually I wrote this tweet. Last summer, Manchester United offered 50 million for Ederson, but Atalanta won 60 million. They took this from this podcast as well. Man United and Atalanta are still currently in talks, and we'll have to wait to see if anything significant develops from these discussions in the near future. You do all this hard work, and then you go and watch this podcast, but you don't do proper referencing. And this is my Achilles heel. This is my problem. If you are proper journalism, you always refer the source. Now, I don't mind, this being spread, the more the story we shared. But at the end of the day, all this hard work and you don't quote, that's just kind of unprofessional in a way. I'm not saying that United exclusive unprofessional. I like them. I really like them, but at least do the right thing. If you're correctly journalistic account, quote what you got the sources, and that's about it, people. I want to sort of dive into your comments as well, because what do you think? Nowadays in Twitter, I've seen that I keep saying, I keep educating the aggregators account, if you're going to quote tweet my tweet, don't change it around, because that's pretty much plagiarism. Why reword it? Just use word by word, because at the end of the day, that's going to come and bite me or Alfredo Pedullà if you rephrase it, because these words that I've never said, and this is my problem. I keep saying, I've been tweeting this aggregator to say, look, I appreciate you are actually tweeting this, but don't change things around and actually put the source, where you got it from, right? Don't forget to mention Alfredo Pedullà as well, because Alfredo Pedullà comes with exclusive news and delivers exclusively only on this channel. But I want to hear from you, do you kind of understand why we are in for Ederson at the end of the day? Does it make sense? And Stephanie Griffith is coming in. What back three formation is if everyone is fit? Well, that's a good one. Maybe we could save that for later. I will star your question, that one. Let's finish off. And basically what you are saying, John Edmund, Martinez, De Ligt, Euro in my book. Jesus, I forgot Martinez. Yeah, Martinez will be available. Yeah, it'll be interesting. Let's continue. Let's add this to the end of the show. I'm just going to go Chi85, big up Chi85, just need Garnacho gone now. Anthony, Sancho, Rashford all look like they're going. Yeah, 100%. They need to go. They need to go. I agree, John. I think Heaven could squeeze. Yeah, Heaven as well, 100%. Let me say, Richard Rios, what you're saying, Anthony. Richard Rios is much competitive than Ederson. 100%. I like the likes of Richard Rios, right? He's very much competitive, and that's what we're looking. We're looking at those players like Aiden Hackney that can run box to box, up and down, like kind of a Scott McTominay, but a better version, like an upgrade on Scott McTominay, yeah. And basically, what I said, we want to sort of retain keep the ball, keep the pressure in the final third, and keep playing a high line, and have a sort of a fast back three line that can cover wide areas. The problem is with Leacher that he cannot cover the wide spaces, and that's why you have Aiden Heaven, and that's why you have Lenny Euro, which is sensational. Harry Maguire has been far much improved, and I would say that De Ligt can also play in the middle. But I would say that for me, the left-sided centre-back needs to be Lenny Euro. I think that Lenny Euro is best on the left side and then on the right. Where is another problem that nobody's talking about? What are we going to do with what's his name? Luke Shaw. What are we going to do with Luke Shaw? I think it's impossible for the club to get rid of him. You know, injury-prone Luke Shaw. He cannot play left wing back. But are we good with the wing backs? I think that Amad Diallo at the end of the day would play right wing back if we get Cunha, and they will interchange. I think that Dogo is going to be good. You know, we still have Dogo. We probably will have. I would say go get another left wing back. You know, it beats me because why didn't we go for Ain't Nori for that cheap price? City scooped him up for 25 million. That's a bargain. You know what I mean? We are 2 away from 60 likes. Stephanie, thank you for keeping the horometer up. Please, guys, give us 40 more, and we will see a Royden challenge. And potentially, I will also sign up for the Hot Sauce Challenge, the California Reaper. And let me see what your chat is saying. Give Mick his recognition that he deserves. Thank you. Yeah, look, I don't care about recognition. Like, you know, for me, it's to get as much as accurate information to share with the Manchester United community. The difference is that, you know, I'm first and foremost, a diehard Man United fan since childhood, right? You know, 50 years supporting this club. 50 years I've been supporting this club. My grandfather, you know, he was a Busby Babe fan. My dad, he was definitely like George Best fan, right? And they kept arguing each other, like, you know, who was the best striker. And of course, I grew up like under Sir Alex Ferguson. So for me, there was Cristiano Ronaldo, there was Rooney, there's Ruud van Nistelrooy. There was the best crop that you ever seen. And I saw the class of 92 as well. So, and we are far away from being the great team again. So all I want to do is Manchester United to get back to the glory days, right? And secondly, I'm an independent journalist. So I'm not owned by any corporates. I'm not towing any lines. So I can pretty much say what I want, yeah? But I also don't want to hurt the fan base by spreading false information. So whatever I get, I put it out there. I fact check to see if it's true. But it's kind of hurts when somebody's kind of taking your tweet and not really referencing. And that's kind of plagiarism without even saying the word. You know, if you were in uni and your professor caught you about plagiarism, but not really referencing what you got the quote from, that you failed the whole essay, you might be disqualified. But hey, this is social media at the end of the day, lazy journalism. Content theft, what you're saying here is called out by referencing. References, yeah. True, I just mentioned that, you know, if you did an essay in university and you didn't do content references, you'll be failing 100%. But unfortunately, like, this is social media and Twitter, the short news, and that's the way it is. Yeah, no, I'm not swollen. I got punched. I'm just tired, mate. It's 3:18 in the morning, mate. I'm in Bali at the moment. Yeah, I will actually do this, man, because I'm in Bali, and I say this. I'm on holiday, and he says, "Do not disturb." This is my sombrero. Hombrero, ole, ole, arriba. 100 likes for my sombrero. No, I'm tired, man. And plus, I'm supposed to have a break. I'm supposed to have a holiday, but it is the transfer window, and you can't really stay away from it. You get messages constantly. You keep checking from your sources, and I spend hours on, you know, putting this clip together. And if you wonder how all of a sudden Alfredo Pedullà speaks English, it's not my work. It is basically Alfredo's work. I don't know. The production team over there in Italy did that. They used something called AI voice cloning. So basically, Alfredo is speaking Italian, but since Alfredo doesn't speak so good English, they found a tool that can clone his original voice from Italian and translate it straight to English. That means, if you're wondering why, it is kind of a little bit of AI generated, but it's actually him speaking Italian, and then it's been translated automatically to English. So that is freaking clever, right? That means that you don't have to do the subtitles. That means you don't have to hire a translator to pause the video and the translator, you know, speaks. Like what I did with Alfredo Pedullà 2 years ago. I had to get a freaking translator. Alfredo Pedullà spoke Italian. I do understand Italian. But then you had the translator regurgitating what he said in English. So this is a fantastic solution. So let me know what you think. Nice, Speedy Gonzalez. Yeah, nice. How can we get that Sancho out the door without that Puficato? This guy is more punk than me. You know, Stephanie. The punkest ass in Manchester, Speedy Gonzalez, Speedy Sancho Gonzalez. 100%. Yeah, you will go for Ain't Nori. Yeah, 100%. That City price. Oh, that could be. Yeah, that'd be a treat for us, man. 100%, guys. Look, I'm going to sort of wrap things show up. I just want to thank you all for coming in. thank you for your support. And I also want to sort of say the truth, because I don't want to spread lies. I told you the truth. Like, you know, the first episode was a little bit time consuming because we had to put subtitles, and then we reckoned that viewers don't like to read the subtitles, so they came up with the idea to use v.io or something, whatever it was called. So they basically recorded him originally exactly word by word he's saying in Italian, but same voice, but just doing translation in Italian. So that's brilliant. That is this amazing idea. That is a great show. Well, you know, I hope you don't have mine, because it is not fake. You know, some people, I saw one comment like, oh, I noticed it's AI generated, it's fake. No, it's not fake. It's actually Alfredo speaking Italian, but it's just been translated directly by AI in his voice in English. And I think that AI, with this technology that we're coming today, fantastic. You know, there's mind-blowing things what you can do, right? And at the end of the day, like, you know, AI will take over referees. You know, you will see robots running on, like, you know, giving the right yeah, we saw that for João Pedro. Thank you, guys. Yeah, great show as per usual. Thank you so much, guys. If you're watching retrospective, go check out the video posted this afternoon. It is 15 minutes long. You get the whole gist of Alfredo Pedullà. Smash the like for this video. Follow me on Twitter, 100%. Give us a little bit like on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter, and also repost this show if you see this on Twitter. Let me see. I will see if I can find it right now. See, I just posted, and you can reshare this tweet. I never have time to do those things. Yes. Oh, okay. A copy link. Yeah, I can do that now. Yeah. Pin here. I will pin it here. So if you can retweet that. So basically, this was the live show for today. We had Mark Nurse coming in. summary, what we spoke about, you know, the never-ending saga of this man, the hot topic, and I think that is the Manchester United top striker for this season. It looks like we are edging closer. Arsenal is going more in advance to get the price for lower down for Benjamin Sesko. Personal terms agree with Sesko. That I think that they're going for him. Arsenal evidently has signed a new centre back, and they are signing midfielders. And I think they are relaxed regarding. They got the price what they wanted for Benjamin Sesko, 65 million. The price is lower than the deal we can do for Gyokeres. The sporting president has come out to say that they have already, you know, spoken for days with the agent and Viktor Gyökeres, and the clubs know what the price is right now. So it's good. It creates a little bit of clarity. And the only one left in the race right now is either Arsenal or United. But I think that Arsenal, what I said on my Twitter timeline, if you go back on my Twitter, it's pinned. Who will become a Man United player and who will become a Arsenal player. Guys, I stand my ground. I think that Gyokeres will become a Manchester United player. I have a feeling, but that's just my hunch, and don't click me for it. At the end of the day, it's my opinion alone. We spoke about the centre-back pairing, and I'm going to say what my centre-back pairing is, Stephanie. I see Lenny Euro on the left. I would say that in the middle, you have De Ligt, and on the right, Mazraoui. Solid centre-back three pairing. And of course, you have Aiden Heaven, of course, to come in. You still have Harry Maguire on the bench. That is my pairing. And I saw somebody saying, John Edmund was saying, like, you know, Martínez, De Ligt, Euro in my book. I don't know if Martínez, after this injury, is ready to play. And as I discussed, Martínez is good, but Martínez could also be utilized as a left wing back, you know, if you think about it. As Martínez cannot cover wide spaces. And that is my opinion regarding the centre-back pairing. But if you watch this in retrospective, let me know in the comments below everything that we discussed. What will be your centre-back pairing, guys? Be Mick Ruby, having my sombrero on. Do not disturb. And it's time to end the show. Arriba. See you to the next time. Glory, glory, Manchester United. I'm out of here. Bye.